Shalom. Let me get straight into this lesson. It's going to be like part 2 of the lesson I did yesterday. I'm going to get back into this video. I'm going to let him break down some more information. I'm going to interject. I'm going to take you to this black and white false ethnicity that's deeply ingrained into people's minds. Most people in this world are brainwashed with the black and white titles, right? Let's get into this video.
It's about being the white victim. Finding some way to justify everything as a God. Oh, God wants me to have more money. Oh, God wants this. No, you want that. But you use God as a get out of jail free card for your whiteness. That's what God is to these people. They will justify any level of immorality, indecency. Look at the immigration.
There's no one more perverse than Esau Edom. When you go deep into that word perverse, it means wicked. Sexual immorality, so on and so forth. But I perceive this guy to be a Jake, but he just has the appearance of an Edomite. Because the Edomite don't have this kind of spirit on them to call out this wickedness. Let me go here. 1 second, Salakia. And this white and black thing is really out of control. And most people, that's what they refer to themselves as white and black people, out of pure ignorance. So when you go into this word white, it means cleanliness, purity, innocence, lightness, empowerment, goodness. Let's go back to this word. Let's go to this word black, rather. Show you something. So when you put black in front of anything, it automatically makes everything else negative. Black sheep, right? Black ball. You starting to see this? A pattern? Right here at the top. The the color black psychology, meaning and facts. It says death and mourning. In many cultures, black is the traditional color of mourning. It says the color black symbolizes loss, grief. Salakia. It's another one that I had. Give me 1 second. This is the one I wanted. It says black. It says the color of most commonly associated with mourning at the very top. It says the end, secrets, magic, force, violence, fear, evil. You hear this? So when you call yourself black people, you're casting a spell upon yourself. And we have to go over this over and over and over and over again so you can get it. Because this is a great witchcraft on most of the people in the world. I was watching this documentary of these Jakes in Russia, but they was using the term to refer to themselves as black. And they was calling the so-called Russians white. See, this thing extends from one end of the earth to the other. This witchcraft. Let's go back into this video. 1 second. All right, let me get back into this video.
They will justify any level of immorality, indecency. Look at the immigration. Oh, you're a brown person? Oh no, it's nothing to do with your race, nothing at all. You've been here for 40 years, never committed a crime. Your kids grew up here, you have a business, you have friends and family. This is your society. Oh yeah, sorry, we're going to have to zip tie you and break your window and drag you out and dislocate your shoulder and throw you into a concentration camp because that's just a bridge too far. We just can't have one out here. Oh, but if you're a white man and you rape women and sexually assault women and do horrible things to little girls at Epstein Island and cause an insurrection and a 34 count felon, you're white, you're okay, you get a pass. You want to beat officers on January 6th? We're a Christian nation. We have forgiveness here and empathy. Yeah, you're good. You get a pass. And on, and on, and on, and on. But if a black man takes a knee, he's a son of a bitch, right? White Jesus. Because that's what this is.
Right, it's all about, see, when these devils put that white and black narrative out there, they did some high-level witchcraft and sorcery, convincing people to call themselves crayon colors. And to this very day, You got most of the world in gross darkness, and they refer to people as crayon colors. And actually, when you go to the majority of these so-called black people and so-called Hispanics, right? Their flesh is brown, but they still continue to call themselves black people because that spell is deep on their mind. This is a multi-generational curse, and they can't come out of it because the world and mostly, the Israelites that haven't been woken up, they're under great curses. It's a curse to call yourself a black person. Let's get more into this.
It's control. It's justification for the white male patriarchy. And every time it's the same demographic, isn't it? The racism, the misogyny, the xenophobia, the bigotry, the constant judgment, the demonization of everybody. They don't know how to be happy because they see their version of America going away. What they perceive as Christianity, it's not. You want to see real Christianity? Go to a Baptist church. You want to see people that love the Lord, that worship them? You go there and you see people that love the Lord because they've been treated poorly. Those are the people that are people of faith that I love to go visit.
Yeah, what he's trying to understand, what he's trying to say without him really knowing it, he understands that it's something different about the so-called blacks, Hispanic, and Native Americans, but he can't articulate it. What he's saying without him really saying it is some people know that we have a connection even in our ignorant state, because our people in complete ignorance still have a connection with, as they know as God, but his true name is Yahweh. But our people in their ignorance, even other people, other ethnicities can see there's something special about these people. If you understand what I'm saying, when they've been honest, done an honest assessment. That's because you're the true children of Israel. You're the Israelites. This black, African, African American, colored, Negro. These are bywords. What do I mean when I say these? Say this, Salakia. These are words that are mockery. That's not your true ethnicity. Just because everybody else say that you're black, that don't mean you have to repeat that. You have to break out of the witchcraft. You have to come out of this illusion.
Is that? Because they've been treated poorly. But for a white person, if there's a tampon in a boy's bathroom, oh my God, this is a sin and God is going to send you to hell forever. Because that's what this is about. It's about maintaining white supremacy through religion.
Right, through religion. That's what he just said. Maintaining so-called white supremacy, Edomite supremacy, through the religion called Christianity today, that has been reshaped, repackaged, and reformed in this form that you have today. The Bible taught correctly don't have no connection with what you know as modern day Christianity today. They took the Bible, they hijacked it, thus the name of this video, as he went into. It says so-called white supremacy hijacked Christianity. And again, they did this toward the Renaissance. And what they did is gave you this. They painted all the images, to look like so-called white people, starting at the Messiah and the Most High. They whitewash them. Again, whitewash, what that means is when they take a dark image or a brown-skinned image and they make it to look like a so-called white person. And they done literally everything. That's why when you go to Google and you Google Paul was mistaken for an Egyptian. We know how the Egyptians look. Matter of fact, I got the book right here, my Encyclopedia of Ancient Egypt. In Egypt, these, you even got a new exhibit they got in Egypt that they showing all the rulers of Egypt brown flesh. Even though they're not the same people as us, but for truth's sake, these were not so-called white people. So that's a whole nother history. Let's go here. Hit this precept. Job 13:4. It says, but ye are forgers of lies. They forge many lies that people follow today. And they don't know better because the people in gross darkness. It says, ye are all physicians of no value. Self-explanatory, right? So let's go here. I want to show you something. When they created this term white. It says white people were invented in 1681. So you have to understand what I just said. Jake, you got to start comprehending this stuff. White people were created, so-called white people were created in 1681. Let's go down here. 1 second, Salakia. It says the idea to create white people to a group distinct European, and European is a new speak too. It's a new word that they created. There's no such thing as Europeans. There's no such thing as Europe. What they did is took parts of Asia and renamed it Europe, and then they started calling themselves Europeans, like they did Africa. They took, because that's the land of Ham. They conquered parts of what we know today as Africa and renamed it Africa. Then they started calling the people African so they can control the narrative. Them are really Hamites, and you have Israelites mixed among that continent. It says together into a group had not been done until 1681 in Maryland. It says what happened in 1681 to cause colonial lawmakers to create a classification of people who had never considered themselves a group before. What inspired them to invent white people? And this is the this PhD professor. It says to understand this, we need to revisit history, specifically the scholarship of Dr. Jacqueline Battalora, groundbreaking book, Birth of a So-Called White Nation, the invention of so-called white people and its relevance today. Right here, it says after 100 years of attempts by European, which are Edomites, powers to colonize the New World, this first successful English colony was Jamestown in 1607. The colony was a business venture, financed and organized by London Virginia Company, a joint stock company whose owners were looking for gold. It says the motives of the Virginia Company were explicit: secure profit for the shareholders. Gold was on the minds of most early colonists, due to the legendary stories of gold plundering across the Americas by Spanish conquistadors. As the Spanish ravaged indigenous populations and enslaved them to work both gold and silver mines, ships of gold poured back into the coffers of the Spanish Empire, which the Spanish were Edomites. The French are Edomites. You know, the so-called Britons was Edomites. They took over all the dark nations that had possession of them lands. Let's keep going. Tobacco. Let's keep going. It says none of these Europeans considered themselves white because white people didn't exist yet. That's very important to understand that. So you can do your own research. I want to go to this word Africa. And I'm going to isolate this word and show you what the origin goes back into. The killer confusion. Africa is a Latin word. As you can see, Latin, Africa, terra, African land, Libya. So they renamed it Africa, which the Latin, Latin goes back to the Edomites. The Romans, when they conquered parts of what we know today as Africa, they renamed it that. Let's go here. So I want to hit this real quick. It says the phrase "covering cast over all nations" comes from Isaiah 25:7. In the King James Version Bible, it refers to a shroud or veil of darkness, ignorance that covers all people. So these nations refer to themselves as these false ethnicities. No one used the biblical ethnicity except the J people. And the J people are claiming to be from the tribe of Judah. But that's just one tribe out of the other 11 tribes of the nation of Israel, the tribes of Israel, Salakia. So it's just confusion on top of confusion on top of confusion. And that's why this place is known as Babylon. When you go into the word Babylon, it means confusion. The people are all confused. They say they worship God, but they do Halloween, they do all this paganism, Christmas, Easter. They don't make logical sense. People out of their mind. It says the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread up over all nations is a metaphorical terms of covering of darkness and ignorance. Well, there you go. Hopefully this lesson was edifying. Call Allah Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Bahashim, Rachat, Kodash. Shalom.